How's it going, guys? My name is Nick. I'm a portrait photographer based out of Colorado, and today I wanted to talk about the new Luminar Neo. I've been seeing a lot of reviews for it, and it seems like a lot of them are sponsored. So I just wanted to give you my unbiased opinion and review of it. So I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to go through the tools in it and let you know what I found with them, if I found them useful, and then I am going to retouch one of my own photos using Luminar Neo in the way that I have personally been using it and showing you the features that I find useful in my own work. So let's open up Luminar Neo and we'll go through it. Okay, so here we are in Luminar Neo. These are just some sample images that come in it. So I've just opened it on its own here, kind of as its desktop version. So we're gonna just kind of take a look at this photo to go through the different things in it. So I'm gonna click the edit button up here. Um, Now, I really don't use Luminar for developing photos. I do most of that in Lightroom. These tools are very similar to Lightroom and they seem to work pretty good. So if you're doing your editing just in Luminar, this seems to work pretty well. The enhance feature, I find it always does something nice. So I usually add it at about 15%. Um, the erase is like kind of a content aware erase, but it doesn't seem to work very well from what I've noticed. So I just don't use it. I either use the brush tool in Lightroom or Photoshop. Um, the structure AI looks really weird. I don't use it. This color is kind of like your HSL panel in Lightroom, but I don't I don't use it because I don't edit images right in here, but it does seem to work and it has the same, pretty much same options. So that's cool. Black and white I haven't tried yet. This details thing, that might be more for landscapes. I'm really a portrait photographer, so I don't do much with that. Um, the denoise function seems to work about the same as Lightroom. It's not like a great denoise like DxO. This landscape, I don't shoot landscapes really, so I haven't tried it. And vignette, I do that in Lightroom. Um, Now let's go through some of their new tools in here. So the Relight, which is one of the main things that they sold Luminar on, I find it kind of useless. It just tends to do some weird things. A lot of times it'll blow out the subject on the brightness near, and the brightness far kind of lights the same area. It doesn't seem like it maps the depth very well. So if that was a feature you're getting it for, I wouldn't. Um, the Sky AI, this is their sky replacement. This works, but I don't really use it. Um, Atmosphere AI. This seems like a great idea to me. It looks horrible every time I've tried it. Doesn't matter if I'm doing fog, mist, haze. It just will like I've had it just like put a blob of like fog in a random spot on the screen. I don't know why it does that, but yeah, this fail doesn't work. Uh, Sun rays are cool. I have done this in an image or two, and I've found it pretty cool. So that's kind of what it does. It just kind of washes out the image in a certain way. So if you set this up right, it can be a nice little pop to a photo that's not really working. Maybe a photo that has bad light or something. So that's cool one. This dramatic just kind of turns the image white. Like it looks like it just reduces saturation. Uh, I don't know. I've not had good results of it, so I don't use that. Mood. This is where you can apply a LUT to a photo. LUT's more of like a video thing, but they have the ability here. A LUT's like a little bit better preset because of the way it manipulates color. There can be less color banding, that type of thing. So that's cool. The toning function, you can add tones to like the shadows, highlights. It does work if that's what you are trying to do. So I mean, sure, it's cool. The matte is cool. If you are looking for a matte look, you can do it here. The cool thing about this is you can add like a color matte. So if you want like a like a red color matte, you can do that. Now I'm just gonna reset that there. The mystical is one of my favorite things in Luminar. I didn't see it really advertised, but it just kind of gives everything like a subtle glow. I think what the best way I can describe it is it like blooms the highlights a little bit and it darkens the shadows. So I've been pretty impressed with what that does, and that'll be one I'll put on my image when I go to edit it. The glow, I just like the regular glow, but I don't put any amount on. It just gives the image a little bit of a pop. So sometimes I use that. That's a good one. Film grain works. So no problem with that. If you want to add, some grain, you can go crazy with it. But portrait bokeh, I don't really do that. So I don't know if that works or not. So the face AI. I use the face AI in pretty much every image. I almost always add about 15 face light. That was something I previously did with a radial filter in Lightroom. So that's a nice little function. I don't do the sun face because I think it looks really weird. I always do the eyes. I'll usually do just the iris visibility, put it up, and then do the eye enhancer a little bit. Some of these will start to make things look really fake, so I am very careful with this. And then mouth, the only one of these that I think really does good things. Teeth whitening does work, but lip saturation, I just put a little bit on. If you do too much lip saturation redness, it seems like it goes over the edge, so I'm not really a huge fan of that. The skin AI, that's the main like just overall skin smoothing I'm using right now. So I usually add about 25%, 25 to 30%. I find anything more than that starts to look weird. The skin defects removal, I don't ever check this because on almost every image I've tried it on, it chops off the eyebrow. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I wouldn't recommend it. The body AI, I mean, if you want to slim somebody out, I guess you can use this, but I don't do that much. And the abdomen one, it doesn't really pick up the abdomen very often, so a lot of times it just doesn't do it. High key, it does do it as it does, so if you want to make an image high key, that works. And then the last thing, other than color harmony here, that I use pretty often is the super contrast. So I haven't found anything else that does this. So highlights contrast, to my eye, all it does is it kind of adds more color into the highlights. So I find that adding a little bit of highlight contrast always helps because it will give you a little bit more color in your highlights, which will give you more even color across your image. So I always do that. Mid-tone contrast I don't really do because that's kind of regular contrast. I already set that before I bring the image in here. And then shadow contrast I do like because it seems like some of the Lightroom profiles kind of put too much black in the shadows, and this counteracts it. Color harmony, I have played with this, but I think there are other tools up farther that you can kind of do the same thing. So I don't use it all that much. I have played with this color balance, but I bring the images into Lightroom out of Photoshop, and you can just do this in a quick Photoshop layer anyway. So I don't play with this all that often. So that's kind of a general overview and my thoughts on the tools in here. Let me bring up one of my images and then I will show you exactly what I do when I go to edit a photo with Luminar Neo. Alright, so this is a photo of my friend Jess that I took in an arcade recently. Um, so I'm gonna show you how I use Luminar Neo in my own portrait work, or how I've kind of fit it into my workflow. So I always launch it from Photoshop. So I've opened this image in Photoshop from Lightroom. So I'm going to go to Filter and then Skylum Luminar Neo. And that's just going to open this image in Luminar Neo. Okay, so now we have the image. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Enhance. Like I said, I almost always find that this does something nice. So I'm going to put this accent on, like, I think around 20 should be good. So that looks nice. See this structure, I don't know, might be good for landscapes, but I don't like it. Don't really need to relight this one. Like I said, it doesn't really work great. Here, we'll mess the atmosphere, but look at this. So it puts like haze just here, and it's white. Like I don't know what good that does. If I do the haze, look, it puts like a little blob right here. I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Anyway, so we'll reset that. And then I'll show you this dramatic. It just kind of desaturates everything. That's not, I don't know, that's just never really a good look. Anyway, I'm gonna go and delete these. So the way you do that, I'm gonna go to edits and I'm gonna click on this and hit the trash can to delete those. And then I'm gonna go back to tools. So I'm gonna use the mystical. So see how this is blurry right now? For some reason, like it goes between blurry and not blurry when you're editing, which is really weird. So I'm just gonna put a little bit in. See how it's kind of like burning the shadow areas a little bit and kind of popping out the highlights. So usually like 8 or 9, 10, somewhere around there is good. I always turn the smoothness up. And then this little button does before and after, so I'll show you like before and then after. I just find that it just does something nice. So I use this a lot. And it's pretty universal. I've never had it like not make an image look nicer. And then the glow, a lot of times I'll just add the glow so you can see that it just kind of makes the image pop a little bit more. I don't add much of anything to it because like as soon as you add to it, it washes things out. But if you just add the glow with 0, I think it's pretty nice. So we'll do the face light. You can see it does work. Takes a second to pop in, but say like probably 10 is good for this image. So that's nice. The slim face does work, but I don't know why you really want to do that. The eyes, I almost always will turn up the iris visibility. You can see it just kind of popped out the catch lights. And then I usually do a little bit of the eye enhancer. So that might be a little overboard, but I think that looks good. And then the stark circles removal. Sometimes it works. See, it's like catching her bottom eyelashes instead of actually doing the dark circles. A lot of these tools just don't always catch the right spot, whether it's like on the face or like the body or whatever. Like they don't always get the right thing. But anyway, and then mouth. can up the lip saturation and redness maybe. But I don't know, for some reason I just don't, this just looks too fake to me if you turn it up any more than much. Don't need teeth whitening. Teeth whitening seems to usually work if you need it. Now the skin, Jess has pretty nice skin, so we don't really have to do much of that, but I'll put it at 25, and you can kind of see. This one's a hard one to get a before and after because I feel like it like shifts when you click this before and after button, which just kind of throws me off. It's really hard to tell, but I'll turn it way up so you can see that it kind of just makes things look really, really weird. So we'll put it on 25, which is okay. The body, I talked about that. It does really weird things, or it just doesn't do anything at all. See, in this case, it doesn't detect anything, so it's not doing anything. That's pretty common for it to do. And then I'm going to go to super contrast, which I almost always do this. So I just always add like a little tiny bit of highlight contrast. And if you like look like right here or look at the highlights here, you can see that it's just kind of adding a little bit more color into them. So I find that like just a little tiny bit of this is really good. And then I'll show you the midtones contrast. It's just kind of regular contrast, and I do that prior, so I'm not really using that. See, it's blurry again. So let me do the shadows contrast. So you kind of see it just kind of brings up the shadow level a little bit. And it just kind of gets rid of like the really, really blacks that you sometimes get in the profiles from Adobe. The Adobe color profiles are really bad for that. The black roll off is set way too high in my opinion. So like that would mean that like stuff that's like, let's say like if this is like your range of color, right? Like this much of it turns black, and I feel like this much of it should turn black. So I feel like the black roll off is not great, and I feel like this shadows contrast helps. So those are usually the main things that I do on pretty much all the pictures that I edit in here. So I use the Enhance, Mystical Glow, Face AI, Skin AI, Body, and I use the Super Contrast, and that's about it. So then you would just click Apply here, and it's going to bring this image back into Photoshop, and then you'll see it update, save it, close it, and then have it show back up in Lightroom. So I find it's a pretty easy like round trip workflow that you can add in. So what are my overall thoughts on Luminar AI? I, I don't want to say that it's not worth the money because I feel like it is worth the money. But I think the things that I bought it for, that I thought it was going to do for me, and the things I ended up using it for and liking that it did were two completely different things. And I find that the features that it has that it advertised, like one of them is Powerline AI, that's never worked. I forgot to mention that when I was going through, but it just seems like the features that they're selling, like that relight thing. You see the ads all the time, like, oh, relight, never a bad photo. That never works. I've never used it on an image. I've tried it on many, many images, and I've never been happy with it. So that doesn't work. I mean, the sky replacement works, which is cool if that's what you want to do if you're doing landscape. But I mean, I guess I am looking at this like from a portrait photographer's perspective. So I guess if those tools that I showed you, just having something to soften skin, that's nice. If you don't want to do it manually, like do frequency separation. And then, like those little things that I do, little tweaks are nice, but there's nothing in Luminar that would make or break an image for me. And that's the thing that I struggle with if I recommend it or not, because, like, I don't see it really even speeding up your workflow, because it's a tool that you have to open something in from your Lightroom or Photoshop to use. So I don't know. I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. Like that's kind of where I'm at with it. So like I'm not upset that I spent, the money, whatever it was, like 60, $70. Like I'm okay with the money I spent on it. And, like, but that's why I'm using it. So um I don't know. Hopefully this helped you make your own decision. I know that's not really like a yes or no, don't buy it, but I think you might have an idea if it would work for you based on what I showed you. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. I should be uploading a lot more videos shortly. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, that would be awesome. And I will talk to you guys later.